Most travelers come to Banff National Park for turquoise lakes and postcard mountain views. But beyond the famous photographs are hidden valleys, glacier-fed rivers, wildlife roaming freely across vast wilderness, and landscapes so remote they feel untouched by time. And most visitors never make it that far. What people think Banff is. When people think of Banff National Park, they usually picture one thing: turquoise water beneath towering mountains, Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, and some of the most famous scenery in North America. And to be fair, that version absolutely exists. But Banff isn't just a collection of famous viewpoints. It's one of the largest protected wilderness areas on Earth, stretching across more than 6,600 square kilometers of the Canadian Rockies. And the deeper you travel into it, the more extraordinary it becomes. Most people see the postcard. Very few see what's behind it. Lake Louise, the place everyone knows. For many travelers, Banff begins at Lake Louise. The water almost looks unreal, a color that sits somewhere between turquoise and jade, shifting slightly depending on the light and the season. Surrounded by forest and framed by the Victoria Glacier, it's easy to understand why people travel from around the world to see it. But what surprises many visitors is this: Lake Louise isn't the destination. It's the beginning. Trails climb from the shoreline into the mountains above. The Plain of Six Glaciers route leads past tea houses and moraines to viewpoints where the lake appears far below, suddenly small against the scale of the Rockies surrounding it. Because beyond the lake lies a wilderness far larger than most people imagine. The valleys beyond the crowds. Most visitors stay close to the famous lakes. They photograph, they walk the shoreline, and then they drive to the next viewpoint. The experience remains beautiful, but it remains surface level. But only a short distance away, the crowds begin to disappear. The roads become quieter. The trails become longer. The Bow Valley, the Consolation Lakes, Paradise Valley. These are places that exist just beyond the edge of what most visitors bother to explore. This is where Banff begins to feel different. Less like a tourist destination, and more like a true wilderness, where the silence becomes noticeable, where the air feels different, and where the mountains no longer serve as a backdrop for photographs, but as the defining reality of everything around you. A land ruled by wildlife. One of Banff's greatest attractions isn't a mountain or a lake. It's the wildlife. Grizzly bears roam through forests and alpine meadows, their presence a reminder that this land operates on terms other than human ones. Elk graze beside rivers in the early morning, their breath visible in the cold mountain air. Here, humans are visitors, and nature remains firmly in control. Wildlife corridors connect Banff to neighboring parks, creating one of the largest intact mountain ecosystems remaining in the world. Animals move through the landscape without regard for park boundaries or human schedules. It's one of the few places left where the landscape still belongs primarily to something other than us. Most visitors leave Banff thinking they've seen the park. They check off Lake Louise and Moraine Lake and return home with photographs that look exactly like everyone else's. But the deeper you go, the more it changes. The famous version of Banff is real, but it's only the first layer. If you enjoy discovering destinations beyond the obvious, this channel is built for that. The Icefields Parkway. Many travelers consider the Icefields Parkway one of the most beautiful roads in the world. And it's easy to see why. The route winds through some of the most dramatic landscapes in the Canadian Rockies, covering nearly 230 kilometers between Banff and Jasper through terrain that feels almost geological in its scale. Glaciers hang above valleys, remnants of ice fields that once covered entire mountain ranges and continue to slowly retreat each decade. Waterfalls spill from mountain cliffs in long white ribbons that catch the light and disappear into rivers far below. And every turn reveals another incredible view. But this road isn't just a scenic drive. It's a journey through a landscape shaped by ice, a record of geological time made visible in every carved valley, every glacial lake, and every exposed ridge of ancient rock that rises above the tree line. The hidden trails. The best views in Banff often require leaving the road behind. Thousands of kilometers of trails cross the park, ranging from short walks through old-growth forest to multi-day backcountry routes that take hikers deep into territory rarely visited. Some trails lead to hidden lakes tucked into cirques above the tree line, their surfaces so still in the early morning that the mountains reflect perfectly in the water below. Others climb high above the valleys, crossing ridge lines where 360-degree views stretch across mountain ranges in every direction. This is where Banff becomes personal, where the experience stops being shared with hundreds of strangers and starts becoming something quieter and entirely your own, where every trail offers a different perspective on the Rockies. Lakes beyond Lake Louise. Lake Louise may be famous, but it isn't the only remarkable lake in Banff. Throughout the park, glacier-fed waters fill valleys between the mountains, each one shaped by different rock formations, different glaciers, and different angles of surrounding peaks. Pedo Lake, seen from above, takes the shape of a wolf's head and turns a vivid blue-green during summer as glacial rock flowers suspended in the water catches the light. Bow Lake sits beside the Icefields Parkway with a quiet grandeur, its shoreline largely undeveloped and its reflections among the most peaceful in the Rockies. Some are easily reached by short walks from the roadside. Others require effort, a full day of hiking, an early start in the cold morning air, the kind of commitment that keeps most visitors from ever seeing them. But each reveals another side of the Rockies, one that feels every bit as spectacular as anything on the postcard, and considerably more personal. Why travelers are staying longer. Travel in Banff is changing. Many visitors still arrive for a quick photograph. They spend a single day, drive the main road, stop at the famous viewpoints, and leave before dinner. But increasingly, travelers are staying longer, spending nights in backcountry campgrounds where the only sounds are wind and rivers, exploring deeper into the wilderness on trails that take days to complete, watching for wildlife at dawn along valley floors where elk gather in the early light, and discovering that Banff offers far more than its most famous lakes. Because the real experience isn't found in a single location. It isn't found in a parking lot or at a viewpoint surrounded by tour groups. It's found in the journey between them, in the quiet stretches of road, in the hours spent walking into a valley that grows steadily more remote, in the moment when you realize the only footprints on the trail ahead of you are your own. Who this side of Banff is for. This side of Banff is for travelers who enjoy exploration, for people willing to leave the viewpoint behind and walk towards something less certain and more rewarding, for those who understand that the best discoveries often require a little effort, an earlier alarm, and the patience to move slowly through a landscape rather than rushing past it, for photographers who want images nobody else has taken, for hikers who want trails that feel genuinely remote, for anyone who wants to feel small in the best possible way, because Banff rewards curiosity. The park gives back in proportion to how deeply you're willing to go. And the deeper you go, the more unforgettable it becomes. Banff National Park isn't just turquoise lakes and famous photographs. It's wildlife, glaciers, mountain valleys, hidden trails, and some of the most spectacular wilderness left in North America. A place where nature operates at a scale that quietly adjusts your sense of what the world actually looks like. And once you move beyond the obvious viewpoints, you realize how much more there is. How many valleys remain unvisited, how many lakes remain unnamed to most, and how much of Banff exists beyond the reach of a parking lot. Subscribe for more journeys beyond the tourist version. If you could spend a week in Banff, what would you explore first? The lakes, the wildlife, or the mountains?